Martin and Brenton and President Proctor told me that this had to be short. I said it's only short if you're not talking about Fred, because Fred could go all day if you were talking about Fred Levin. But we do want to welcome to the stage Mike Papantonio, Troy Rafferty, Mark Proctor, Virginia Buchanan, Tim O'Brien, Brian Barr, Peter Mugay, Mayor Grover Robertson, Councilman Ann Hill, Martin Levin, representing the family and the firm, Mr. Jim Reeves, Eddie Mercer, Danny Zimmerman, Sheriff Simmons, Commissioner Bender, and our very own Roy Jones, Jr. Did I get Brian Barr? Not very often we get a Republican on the stage, so we do want to recognize Representative Andrade. What an honor it is to be here, not as a commissioner, but as a friend of Fred Levin that I've known all of my childhood. And so when they talk about Fred, we would have our discussion groups on Saturday mornings with Troy Rafferty, and we'd sit there. And Fred would often talk about planning his funeral. And he said, Lumen, look, we need a waiver of the Bay Center. I'm going to have to lay in state for at least a week. We're going to have to close down roads. We're going to have to shut schools down. Unfortunately, we lost Fred during the COVID pandemic. But look what's happening today. Roads are closed, churches shut down, people are here, and only for Fred Levin. So, and no matter what your faith is, you know that Fred is in somewhere in heaven, because Fred covered his bases at every party, from the rabbi to the Muslim, to the Baptist, to the Seventh-day. Fred really covered all of his bases. So to this family, Marcy, Deborah, Martin, Kim, Ross, Bryn, Jackie, thank you for sharing your father with us. Fred's legacy is so large, it's hard to imagine him not being here, because each of us have stories of Fred. And so even in his body being absent, Fred is still present with each of us, because he made each of us feel so important. So that's why we are here. That's why you are here today. And we are so excited about being here with Fred Levin and being a part of this firm. And so I would just tell you a few things about Fred Levin before we call the speakers. Fred Levin called me early one morning, Marcy, and he said, Lumen, it was the city of champions. And anybody that knows Shirley Cronley and know me, nobody wants to be in a planning meeting with Fred Levin and Lumen May, because you get nothing done. He would have not attended any of your meetings. And we were doing the City of Champions for our dear friend Roy Jones and many other athletes. And he called me in the morning. He said, Lumen, that joke that you said, that you understood why the P was wrapped around the R because Papantonio was a rainmaker. He said, don't ever say that again. He was a public defender. They still call Fred. And you tell your little buddy, Troy Rafferty, he still ain't getting no tobacco money. But when you talk about legacy and tobacco, and you talk about all the things that Fred has done, it was not that Fred could get his name on a building of a college or he could sell tobacco. It was that he cared about this community and the legacy building. When you think about opioids and the $26 billion that the next generation of lawyers are carrying on because of the pathway of Fred, his legacy will continue. And that's why we're so happy to be a part of this and happy that you're here to share with us today. And the challenge today is not what you'll hear from the speakers, but it's your personal interaction that each of us have had with Fred Levin. Red, yellow, black, white, rich, poor. All of us have a personal relationship with Fred Levin. At this time, we're going to call up to the microphone the mayor of our great city that really helped push this forward, Mayor Grover Robertson. Mayor Robertson.
My dear friend who I served with, had the opportunity to serve with, Lumen May, it's always tough to follow him, but here I'm going to try to do this. I simply want to say we're here today to honor a great Floridian. Because of that, I wore this tie. And I will say, you can get this tie in any color combination you want, but I think Fred would agree with me that this is the best color combination for that tie. But I did want to say that Fred exemplified what he learned here. He grew up in Pensacola. He was from Pensacola, learned hard work, how to work with people and advance people and be able to make life better for them. He could have gone anywhere. He could have done whatever he did anywhere else because he was all over the country. Yet he set his roots here in the city of Pensacola, built a foundation, and was here in this community, making it better all the time. So when it was unfortunate that we lost him, I was approached about an opportunity that we could recognize him. And I thought, what a better way to recognize him in the grid of the city of Pensacola, right here by the office where he was, and a chance to be here. So we are very excited about in the city of Pensacola to be able to honor one of our own citizens who is a great Floridian and a great American, and so we're very happy to do this. I would be remiss if I didn't thank a couple of people at the City of Pensacola who helped make this happen, our Public Works team, Ryan Metcalf, James Cook, Amy Tootle, and David Forte over there, so I appreciate them making all this happen. But we are very honored to see Fred taking a place in the grid here in Pensacola, because it couldn't be more appropriate for a homegrown Floridian, Pensacolian right here who made this community better to be part of this as we continue to go forward right here off Palafox to Balen. We're very excited about this. Levin, I'm going to turn it back over to you for the next speaker. Thank you for the opportunity to be here, and I would be remiss if I didn't say go Gators for Fred.
At this time, we want to call the city council person that represents this district and really push forward, Ms. Councilperson Ann Hill.
Thank you. Thank you. Isn't this an incredible day to celebrate an incredible man, Fred Levin? Yes, yes, yes. And as a council member, I am very proud to say that we had an essential role in renaming this street the Fred Levin Way. And I will keep it short. I want to thank his family, his friends, his co-workers, all of you who made this amazing, inclusive festival possible. And I think that we will always, always cherish the legacy of Fred Levin. Thank you all, and have an incredible day.
Thank you, Councilperson. If you truly know Fred Levin, you know that the only thing that was more dangerous than an atomic bomb was getting between Fred Levin and a camera. And so Philip, Tony Jacobs, many times as we go to fights and you see the lights come on HBO, I've only seen Roy Jones get pushed out the ring one time. Is when he got in front of the camera of Fred Levin. Please welcome to the stage, champion Roy Jones Jr.
Thank you. How y'all doing? It's good, it's good. So glad to be here. It's such an honorable day, such a beautiful thing. I couldn't think of a better way. I was in Gaston, Alabama last night. I had 5 guys fighting. The fights finished about 10:30. They all wanted to go eat. I can't go eat. I got to drive back because I got to be back for Fred. You understand me? Because a lot of people wouldn't understand that, but that was the best business partner I ever had in my life. You understand me? It takes a team to be successful. I know boxing is an individual sport, but it takes a team. And you have to have the yin and the yang. So no matter what happened, Fred was always my yang. If I thought I could beat him, Fred gonna find a way to make sure I meet him. You understand me? It was never could we do it, it was a matter of how we were gonna do it. And when the camera came on, he would be right there next to me, maybe in front of me, make sure they understood that we did it and Pensacola in the house. You understand me? So I always said Pensacola in the house because he was there. We were there, you understand me? So I want y'all to understand that we all were sharing this together. But I had to make sure that my right-hand man, anytime that thing came on, he right there with me, you understand me? He didn't miss no opportunities to be right there with me, I don't care what happened. Now, he did keep me straight when I got a little crazy, because sometimes I would get a little crazy. When they took my first loss, when I fought Montel Griffin, he came to me, he said, well, what you want to do? I said, Fred, I don't care what he want. I said, I want a rematch. He said, well, you know he gonna want all the money. You know, Fred ain't going for that. I said, so I said, by the way, I said, I don't care what he want. Just tell him to bring that green belt back, and he can have all the money. Fred said, no, we're not gonna do it like that. I said, well, you go fix it however you gotta fix it, and you just make sure he got that belt with him. He said, okay, just let me do it. I got it from here. So he went and did it, and we got exactly what I wanted, and that was probably the best redemption story of my life, thanks to Fred Levin. You understand me? So I could go on and on with the stories, but it's his day, and anybody, like Lumen said, anybody that knows him understands him, because he was one of a kind. When they made him, they threw the mold completely away, because I ain't never met nobody like him before, and I don't want to ever meet nobody like him again, because I want to always remember him. You understand me? He was the one that owned it. I challenged the world because I had a lawyer that thought I could beat the world. You understand me? When you challenge the world, when God give you an angel to take you and escort you all the way to the top, and you understand that that angel is just that. On paper, he gonna kick your ass, and in the ring, I'm gonna kick your ass. You understand me? So we made a hell of a partnership. So thank y'all again. Pensacola in the house. God bless y'all. Congratulations, family.
Champion Roy Jones Jr. Thank you, Roy, and we know that you and Fred had a wonderful relationship, and I tell you, hey, Fred's gone, man. If you were still fighting, we'd have to pay for tickets now. And so before we call Martin, a couple things about legacy and about this firm and the impact that this firm is making because of the Levin brothers, whether it's Stanley, David, Fred, the impact that they continue to give, and the young generation of lawyers that Pap and Mark and Troy are bringing up to do impacts. We often talk about the Rafferty Center, in which Troy Rafferty made $1 million donation, and it all started because of Fred. Because Fred was very good at having large meetings and figuring out what we're going to do, but he just figured out how to do it with somebody else's money, and Fred was just so smart at doing that. But oftentimes he would talk about his children, and he'd talk about his life. And many people didn't see that side as we would sit on Saturday mornings with Rick Alson and Troy Rafferty talking about life and talking about the impact. And Fred would often talk about his children and his grandchildren. He would talk about Brenton, and he'd say, what's that, you know, that black color, you know, with this cane, and they stomp around in the Kappas. I mean, he'd talk about Martin, and he'd talk about, you know, I only made one of Martin's games, and he said, I showed up at the game, Martin. And he said, I'm not lying, Levin. I appreciate all the work you do with these kids. I'll donate, but I'm not coming to the game because I went to one game of Martin, and he shot in the wrong dang goal. But he loved his family, and he loved his community. And Fred's legacy will be continued on through his family. And Martin, as you come, I would often talk to Fred about you, and Fred would say, man, I don't know what happened to him. I think he had some of that Tadema Kool-Aid because he found religion. So please welcome to the microphone, Martin Levin.
Thank you, everybody, just really for turning out, the old friends, some that have been there since Dad's journey began, others even before. It's just amazing. I can tell you that this truly would be one of the happiest moments of my father's life. It really would be. I know he's looking down on us right now, probably drinking a Crown and Royal, and telling everybody in earshot that this is all because he's the greatest trial lawyer who has ever lived. But I got to tell you what he'd really be thinking. He would think this is the greatest honor he ever received. Why? Because it's from the city of Pensacola. This was Dad's life. He loved this city. He was born here. He was raised here. He worked here. Everything he accomplished was from here. And anytime he was in the public eye, anytime he was out in the stage on the world, he would talk about Pensacola. Dad literally did not want to go anywhere else. When we would force him to go to New York or London or Paris or Spain, Hong Kong, even Israel, the only thing he would say the whole time is Pensacola's better. And I want to be back in Pensacola. And he meant it. He meant it. And today, Pensacola's recognizing Dad. Now I can tell you that in Dad's wildest dreams, he never would have thought that there would be a street named after him in Pensacola. He would joke that he couldn't get elected dog catcher. When Jim Reeves and Eddie Mercer and Mark Proctor approached me about naming a street after Dad, I was like, good luck with that one. I said, there ain't no chance this is going to happen in Pensacola. They said, we're going to make it happen. And incredibly, they did. They did through Lumen May and Grover Robinson and Ann Hill and so many others who made this unbelievable moment happen. Not only did they make it happen, but they made it happen in historic Pensacola on the street where Dad's father ran his business, where his law firms have stood, the most significant street in Pensacola, Palafox. And Dad would just be unbelievably thrilled. This event right now, the festival that's taking place, could never have been made possible without so many people. I'm going to try to name a few. Madrina Ciano and Ellen Massey did an unbelievable job organizing, their professionalism, their grace, unbelievable. Brenton Goodman, my nephew, he and his wife Stephanie, they have worked tirelessly. They have worked tirelessly making this happen. And right now we got coming to the stage a civil rights legend of all civil rights legends, H.K. Matthews, people. I cannot tell you how much my father respected this man. Thank you. Thank you. I would like to thank Andy Marlette. That logo y'all see everywhere was done by Andy Marlette. My dad loved Andy Marlette's work. Even when Andy'd make fun of him, he loved his work. In fact, that's one of the ones he made most fun of, Dad has hanging. But I'd be remiss if Dad were here today, who Dad would want to really talk about is this law firm. This law firm is what made him. It's this law firm that he believed was making a difference in the entire world, and it is. It's this law firm that has stood in historic Pensacola for 67 years. And Dad would be so proud of where it is. He would want me to talk about Mike Papantonio and how Mike Papantonio took over the reins of this law firm 20 years ago and has brought it to where it is today at the height of its. He always was amazed how Pap could grow up in indescribable, horrific circumstances and rise to where he is. He would talk about his dear friend Mark Proctor, who he always said was the greatest leader and grounded person he ever knew, and was so proud of him as his partner. And then he would come and we'd talk about his little buddy, who all he wanted to do was spend time with Troy. He couldn't believe Troy came to this firm. In fact, my brother-in-law, Ross, is the one who brought him out of college, out of law school, and to rise where he is. Now, he would remind Troy that Troy still owes him chicken wings for eternity. But he would also like every one of you to know that Troy will be taken over after Pap's ready to step down, and he will take over the reins for the next 20 years. He'd want me to talk about Virginia Buchanan, and he said that she was the most compassionate, competent lawyer he ever met, and her ability to bond with clients and present their losses was stunning. And finally, he would want me to talk about the newest names on this firm because they represent the future of this firm. Brian Barr, Tim O'Brien, and Peter Mouget. Because when your name goes on this law firm, that means you are our future of Pensacola. Because we never, ever forget Pensacola. Amen. But finally, and most importantly, I need to honor my sisters, Marcy, Deb, and Kim. I can promise you that none of this would be possible without them. Like Dad, everyone knows I'll take all the glory and do nothing. And I am damn good at it. But the truth is, it was their vision, their concept, their hard work. They are tremendous siblings, children, parents, and I love you. I want to leave you with one of Dad's favorite quotes. Bullfight critics, row by row, enter the arena fast and full. But only one person in that ring, in that arena, truly knows, and it's the man fighting that bull. Dad had his endless critics, but he never let it back him down. When he perceived injustice, he was going to speak out, and he didn't care if people didn't like his voice. He didn't mind if they booed him, if they tried to shut him down, if they tried to destroy him. He wasn't going back down. Like Roy Jones Jr., if you knock him down, he is getting back up and ain't leaving that ring. It ain't happening. And in the end of Dad's fighting career, the critics faded. And they actually started to admire Dad, respect him, love him, and even create a street. It's at this time I would like to introduce the newest street in downtown historic Pensacola. And as everyone who knew Fred Levin, this name is very significant because throughout his life, he did it the Fred Levin way. Thank you, everybody.
In closing, we're ready to open the festival. If 100 years from now, it won't matter the type of car you lived in, it won't matter how much money you made, it won't matter where you've been, the travels you've had. The only thing that'll matter 100 years from now, were you important in the life of a person and a child? Fred Levin was important in the life of each of us. God bless y'all. Enjoy the festival. Thank you for being here.
Good job, Levin, as always.
Thank you.